Hey everybody, I'm Judith McGill with DataBank, and I'm joined today by Paul Myott, DataBank's Vice President of Corporate Culture and Internal Communications. Paul's also an organizational psychologist. Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining me.
Hey Judith, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Let's dig into the second item in our leadership series, which is entitled Culture Sells. And I know you like to say culture sells. What does it mean?
I do. Yeah. When I say culture sells, I mean that, culture can be a major selling point or differentiator, right, to attracting customers and employees and investors. So, a positive, strong, and unique corporate culture, it can drive your business success in a number of ways, right? Some of the top ones I think of all the time are talent, right? Attracting talent. In today's market, a lot of our early career job seekers, they're often looking for workplaces where they feel they fit in, right? And they can be valued and it has a purpose. Companies like DataBank that have a positive culture, right? We can sell ourselves to those potential employees, and it makes it easier for us to recruit and retain talent, right? The second one is brand reputation, right? You being in marketing, you understand the appreciation for that, right? And so a company that's known for a positive workplace environment, if we have strong ethical practices, social responsibility, et cetera, right? That word gets around and customers want to do business, right, with top brands and reputable brands.
Okay.
And then, customer loyalty, I'd say that's a big one, right? In any business, we're nothing without our customers, right? So if we have a culture that focuses on customer service, innovation, right, quality, we create customer loyalty, and having that as a main thread in our culture really helps to sell DataBank, right, and differentiate us from our competitors.
Okay, so you just touched on three important points here: attracting the best talent, elevating brand value, and then loyalty. All sounds great. Let's look at the characteristics of that healthy culture, or put another way, how do we know all of these things when we see it?
Yeah, it's like leadership, right?
Right.
Sometimes you can't describe it, but you know it when you see it, right?
Mhm.
So, I've been doing this for a while, and there's a couple of things that rise to the top for me, and especially here at DataBank, right? A healthy and vibrant culture can typically be personified through communications, right? Transparent and trustworthy communications, not only from above, but also from below and across the entire organization, right? And if leaders and employees are communicating clearly and honestly, right, all of your employees are going to feel informed. They're going to feel trust for the leadership. And it also enables that free flowing of ideas across the organization, right? Which leads to improved productivity, better products and services, et cetera, right? So that's number one. Number two is formal and informal recognition and rewards. Formal recognition and rewards for a job well done or going over and above. It not only reinforces positive behavior, but it boosts morale, right? And it creates a culture of appreciation, which I say, it pays dividends in other areas like customer service and employee performance and other things, right? That's the formal side. Informal, or what I call peer-to-peer recognition, it's that organic kind of viral things that our employees do every day. That's the secret sauce, right, for us at DataBank. And we've worked really hard to put recognition platforms and revenues and channels into place that reinforce the benefits, right, which we've watched grow organically now over the past few years. I mean, we've got people sending hundreds of recognition e-cards on our culture platform each month for anniversaries, thank yous, congratulations, welcome to the team, right? These are all behaviors that demonstrate our culture cornerstones. And so people are living them every day, right, through rewards and recognition, right? And then the last one is collaboration and teamwork, right? You hear those terms being thrown around a lot, but as organizations like ours grow and become successful very quickly, they also become more specialized, right? Departments get better and more laser focused on delivering their expertise. The downside to that is you can tend to become siloed, right? You can tend to be, this is what I do, I'm in my lane, you do your stuff over there, right? But a culture that really works hard to break down silos and promote and reward collaboration, there's that reward word again. It gets rewarded with improved camaraderie among its employees, better problem solving, higher levels of innovation, right? Which then leads to more customer-centric products and solutions, right? So it's just like a win-win. It's a virtuous cycle.
Yep. It strikes me as you're covering each of these, each one builds on the next. So you've got the transparency of communications, which reverberates across everything. The formal and informal recognition, I got to tell you, it's like, it's something it's a payment you don't see in your paycheck, right? And when I deliver it or somebody gives it back to me, that leads to the, that felt great. And there's greater collaboration and teamwork. And that, of course, drives greater performance. All that makes sense to me. So one of the unfortunate things when we talk about culture, just in the dialogue about this, is it's a little soft, right? Let's talk about culture sells, the sells part of it. So from a financial perspective, how does investing in and cultivating a healthy corporate culture impact those key performance indicators such as revenue, profitability, maybe even shareholder value?
So investing in cultivating a healthy corporate culture, it makes good financial sense, right? It makes good people sense, but it also makes good financial sense. So if you'll indulge me for a second, culture is in an organization it's a living, breathing thing. It's constantly forming, and it's actually changing regularly in little ways, right? And I equate it to planting a vegetable garden, right? You start off by planting the vegetables you want to grow, and you provide your family and friends, right? And if that garden is well tended, meaning you put in the time and resources it needs, it tends to produce what you had hoped for, right? But it requires continuous investment, continuous cultivation, attention, vigilance, and patience, right? And we know that if you leave your garden unattended, you have weeds and animals and insects and other harmful factors, external factors, leave you with little or no harvest, right? So this continuous investment in cultivation is what's required, but it's well worth the outcome. So let's discuss, the three financial outcomes you mentioned in particular. Let's start with revenue growth, because everything flows from revenue, right?
Right.
And a healthy and vibrant corporate culture, it fosters employee engagement, right? And therefore, you're better able to attract top talent, who then, as I mentioned previously, contribute to developing more innovative products and services. You hire people with more experience, maybe, or more specialties and expertise in particular areas, right? And then you can grow out those products and services. And these engaged employees are more likely to go above and beyond if you have a culture that rewards them and recognizes them for those sorts of things, right? So they find new ways to create value for customers, essentially. And this customer-centric approach, right, it drives revenue growth through improved customer satisfaction and loyalty, right? You have return customers. You don't have churn in the data center business, right?
Yeah.
The second outcome, right, every company seeks, obviously, is profitability, right? So once the revenue is flowing, you want a profit. And a culture that emphasizes things like efficiency and collaboration and continuous improvement, that can lead to cost savings, right? And better usage of resources, right? And teams that work well together are typically much more efficient. I mean, studies have shown, and they reduce waste, and they come up with new and innovative ways to do the same things, right? Faster, better, faster, smarter, I say, right? And then the other thing too is turnover rates, right? Attrition is costly, right?
Yeah.
And so it can affect your bottom line. And if you've got a healthy culture and an engaged employee base, right, you have less attrition typically over time, right? Which reduces your recruitment, your training costs, all those ancillary things that can eat into your profitability, right?
Right.
And then the third thing ultimately is shareholder value, right? You've got your investors who you have to, at the end of the day, provide that value to. And that's usually influenced by your overall, organizational performance and stability of a company, right? So a healthy corporate culture, right? It creates that stable environment where all of your employees are committed to the overall success, right? You reduce the risk of outages and other, things like scandals, turnover, reputational damage, et cetera, right? And then in regards to M&A, right, depending on the mergers and acquisitions firm that you're dealing with, somewhere around 50% of the valuation of most companies in a transaction can be attributed to goodwill, which is made up of all those intangible assets like brand and culture and intellectual property and customer loyalty, right? So basically, when you go to raise capital or sell your company, half of what your company is worth, when sold, can be attributed to things like culture and those intangible assets, right?
Half.
So yeah, half, 50%. Again, depending on which firm you talk to, but it's an impressive amount, right? So it
Yeah.
all points back to investing and cultivating that garden, right? And creating that healthy and vibrant corporate culture. It contributes in ways that you probably don't even think of on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. Makes sense. Certainly, we're seeing this at DataBank. Give me some examples, some empirical evidence. What's that direct correlation between the positive corporate culture and improved financial outcomes?
Sure. Well, I think first place I would look is, there's been an increase over the last probably 20 years in these kind of great places to work and like the Fortune 100 best companies to work, right? All of these really hinge on the vibrancy and the health of these companies' cultures, right? And all of them, essentially say that and have shown that these companies who land in these top 100 tend to outperform, the broader stock market. For example, in 2016, a report found that the cumulative stock market return for companies on that list significantly exceeded the S&P 500 index over a 20-year period. Now that's impressive, right?
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Another one I'll point to, which I like to reference, is the Harvard Business Review's culture factor, if you've ever read that. And it's a pretty comprehensive study where the researchers explored the impact of corporate culture on business success. And they found that companies with very strong, positive cultures, they tend to be more resilient, they are able to attract top talent, and they ultimately perform better financially, right? And the study also, one of the major points it also makes is that it emphasizes that aligning your culture with your business strategy is crucial for long-term success. So one of the things that we did very early on at DataBank is we defined our purpose, our way, and our impact, right? And all of our strategies flow from that. And then we aligned all of our culture cornerstones and cultural attributes to that as well, right? So we have a nice cohesive alignment there, right? So it's kind of in the same ballpark as what they suggested in the culture factor, right? And then the other thing I would point to is you just need to go and access Glassdoor and other sites where they solicit feedback from former employees and existing employees, right? And they get unvarnished reviews of their employers, right? And research has proven, Glassdoor has proven that ratings on these sites often correlate to better stock performance. And for example, I think Glassdoor did a study, I forget what year it was, but found that, a 1-star increase in company ratings was associated with an increase in stock returns, suggesting that, employee satisfaction really helps to drive financial outcomes, real tangible financial outcomes. Yeah. So there's a host of other studies, done by MIT and Gallup and other major institutions that correlate culture to financial returns.
Love it. This, I'm thinking of something my mother used to say all the time is a good deal is when everybody involved benefits. So it sounds like a positive corporate culture. It helps employees. It helps the internal operation of an organization. Then it also helps financial performance. Love
Sure.
it.
Sounds like your mom would have made a great data banker.
She would have. Right? All right, Paul, thanks again for joining me. And for those of you who are listening, this is part of our leadership series. Check back on databank.com on a monthly basis and we'll have a new installment. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.